Have you ever considered becoming a vegan but didn't know what steps to take? Or started the transition but wasn't able to finish the process? Well, you're in luck because now you have the easiest way to become a vegan. A simple and clear guide to embracing a vegan lifestyle. For more information, please visit www.veganintel.com and get your guide today.
All right, positive energy all the time. Good to see you all today. This is our second broadcast today, and it's kind of connected to the earlier conversation, so we're going to get into it. Good to see you, Rasta Man. Body Sculpture Challenge in the building. XYZ is in the house. Let's get it. Stefan is in the building. Good to see you, September. Positive energy. Let's get our people in shape. All right. There's a lot of things it takes to get in shape. And one of those things is exercise. Exercise, exercise, exercise. right, you get the point. Hit that gym. Let's get that exercise in. Make sure you take the body sculpture challenge. Work out. Post yourself working out. Use the hashtag body sculpture challenge and follow the body sculpture challenge on social media. Let's get in shape, people, because we're not doing well. A lot of the younger brothers, I think you're doing pretty well. I think a lot of the younger brothers and sisters, a lot of the younger men and women across the country are doing pretty good. I think a lot of the younger men are for sure. I think they're working on it. I think some women are working on it, but I think a lot of women are getting surgeries that could affect their workout some and their overall health. But not enough. Not enough young men and women are getting in shape. Middle age and older people in the United States are not in very good shape at all. Um, I think you can do percentages. I think when you talk about Black Americans and white Americans, when you talk about foundational Black Americans and white Americans, the percentages are different, right? Because we're only like 13, 14, 15%, depending on if the numbers are accurate. But from the looks of it, a higher percentage of white Americans exercise. It's a big cultural thing here in Chicago that you see a lot. Um, you see white Americans up early uh, exercise before they go to work. You go to the beach, you see them riding bikes, jogging, rollerblading, skateboarding, volleyball, pretty much active. And Black Americans are usually at the beach kind of just chilling. It's a smaller amount of us that I see out riding bikes. When I do go riding, I pass a Black person every blue moon. Uh, our communities, some of them are a little considered dangerous. That has something to do with it. A lot of Black Americans are just not comfortable with walking around the community. Uh, a lot of white Americans, especially in big cities like Chicago, live in areas that has more traffic in some cases. In a big city like this, a lot of people live in apartment buildings. You wouldn't believe how many actually. And so they live in safer areas pretty much where they can get out and jog and stuff like that without being worried. But overall, the numbers for Americans overall is still too low. Americans are not working out, exercising, and eating right. Americans are eating socially and not necessarily nutritionally. It's a social thing. People are eating traditionally because that's what they've been eating. or that's what their parents have been eating. And people have been pretty much programmed that the food they're eating is fine. When it comes to information about eating and health, it's very difficult to get the facts because the industry behind the food has lots of money. And so they're able to pay um, writers and journalists to write in their favor. They're able to get restaurant reviews suggesting food that if you were plant based, you wouldn't suggest it. So America eats socially and not nutritionally, and America is sick socially. Sick as a dog. Extremely sick. It reminds me a few years ago, I got a call from an ex, and she lived alone and had to go to the hospital and was scared because she woke up and was bleeding out the nose. High blood pressure, I'm sure. And I couldn't get there. I didn't live close to him, but I met him at the hospital, and whoa, you should have seen how many people was at the hospital. It was unbelievable. If you go to the emergency rooms across the U.S., you won't believe it. You won't believe it. There's no news reporting on it, but I'm telling you, man, the emergency rooms are overloaded by a lot. They're overloaded, and there's so many sick people. When you mix the amount of sick people with the amount of people that's come to the hospital that are injured, whoa. And so when Americans go to a lot of these emergency rooms, sometimes it's a long wait because the people that come in on the ambulance a lot of times are a 911, right? So they're rushing them straight to rooms while you have to sit in the emergency room, and they don't have a lot of rooms for you in the emergency room because all the rooms and all the beds and all of the doctors are taking care of people that have like serious like injuries, like life threatening, car accidents, shootings, stabbings, cut themselves with glass drinks, some baby drinks, some poison, those type of things. So they're gonna get in before you're sick. You don't feel like you're gonna live either, but it doesn't look as bad, and you didn't come in on the ambulance. So it's a serious situation. So because uh, we're not really programmed about the food, there's a battle over the food. Uh, for me, promoting you eating better, what I consider eating better and plant based. Like earlier today in my life, I had people resisting for no reason. And people that you're not even really talking to. If you just try to talk to the people about going plant based, there are people that I don't understand it that go against that. And so in my earlier live, I had people coming in was going against what I was saying. Now these people are not going to any websites or not making any statements about the sicknesses, the overwhelming sicknesses. For some reason, they act like they don't see the sicknesses. And in a lot of ways, I can see they don't see the sicknesses. The news is not doing a good job at telling Americans how sick they are and how unhealthy they are. But we have like these months, health months, like awareness months. And Americans are so sick, they don't have enough awareness months. Seriously. They don't have enough awareness months for the sicknesses. They got other things listed in the awareness months, but a lot of times I'll talk about each awareness month. I'll try to do something on it, but it does get overwhelming the amount of awareness months we have. And some awareness months I have to discuss three or four three or four different medical issues. It's unbelievable once you dive into it. And it's like two worlds. There's one world where nobody knows what's going on, and then there's the world when you find out what's going on. And when you find out what's going on, it's absolutely frightening, to be honest with you. It's frightening because those awareness months they're not promoted at all, to be honest with you. They are not promoted. There's no, for lack of any other way to say it. Now this is what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Now it's only 12 months. So there's awareness, there's a sickness for twice a month and three for 2 months. Now it might just be, two a month because you got like honors caregivers. You got a couple that's not. I see honors caregivers. That's the only one I see that's, yeah. So it's still more than two a month in some months. And there's no explanation for the sicknesses. Many of the awareness months, they don't give you they don't give you a cause. And the problem with that is there are other causes besides food. But I personally believe that without awareness on the food, there's not going to be any serious health awareness. Because I don't believe you can become aware of chemicals in your food or chemicals in your cookware. I don't believe you can become aware of that until you become aware of uh, the different things going on with the food. I mean, for me, my awareness with the food um, made me more aware about eliminating plastics, not using no-stick cookware, um, what kind of clothes am I wearing, dyes in your clothes, things like that. The food and the need to, once I became aware that I have to work hard to stay healthy and stay alive, that started crossing over from just the food into what I'm making the food in, what I'm storing the food in, what's on the fruits and vegetables. So it opened up a whole Pandora's box, which is crazy. So I'm talking now about polypharmacy. And this is a word I just became familiar with from doing lives talking about health. I knew nothing about polypharmacy, nothing at all. But polypharmacy is deep. 15% to 30% of senior hospital admissions are secondary to medication problems. Polypharmacy is the third leading cause of death. 60% of older adults take their medications improperly, and approximately 140,000 die as a result. I don't think anybody knows this. And so people have multiple prescriptions that they have to take daily and sometimes multiple times daily. So you might have an older person have to take one medication 3 times a day for their stomach, another medication once a day for their heart, and another medication once or twice a day for maybe their throat, maybe their skin. So these elderly people get confused, right? Also, they have to go to what I would call specialists to find out which medications they can't take together. So in some cases where they don't have the proper health care, they're taking the medicine for their stomach and the medicine for their heart, and they're having a reaction from the two medicines. And they're ending up, a lot of times they pass away. Now just think about that. That we have people have to take 2, 3, 4, 5 pills a day. Nobody talks about this. Now you have to ask yourself, if people got to take 2, 3, 4, 5 pills a day, that means 2, 3, 4, 5 things are wrong with them. What would cause so many people to have 2, 3, 4, 5 things wrong with them? What? Because the main thing people have in common is eating. We all eat. That's the one thing we all do. So if we're all eating, and the majority of us is consuming certain types of products, and then we have people that have comorbidities, why don't the people that want to argue with me about telling you to go plant-based, why don't they discuss that issue? Why aren't they discussing those issues? I think that's a fair question. Why aren't they discussing those issues? If there's certain people, all they do is talk about vegans. Why they don't talk against these snacks that's not healthy for the children? Why aren't they talking about these ultra processed foods? And so it's like they're leaving certain doors open to go and debate vegans. So it seems like to me, there's all these problems out here. And veganism isn't one of them, for sure. The only problems we're having with veganism is animal rights vegans with the mind state they just don't want to eat anything that has any animal byproducts in it, and they're not thinking of eating healthy. So they end up eating, vegan burgers, potato chips, fries, they can eat candy, right? They're not against artificial flavors and artificial coloring because that doesn't come from animals. So they're taking in chemicals that aren't healthy because all they don't want to take in is animals. So many of them end up getting sick and have to go back to eating the very animals, which is just unbelievable. They go vegan for the animals. They don't go vegan for nutritional reasons. So they eat a bunch of trash. Then they have to go back to eating the animals. And then people say going vegan is no good when these particular vegans uh, didn't eat nutritionally, because whether it's if you eat meat or vegan, if you don't eat nutritional, you're going to get sick on both sides. You just can't eat burgers all day just because you eat meat. You just can't eat burgers and potato chips. You can't eat a hamburger from you can't eat McDonald's and all that stuff just because you eat meat. At the end of the day, whether you're a meat eater or plant based, you have to get some nutrition. And at the end of the day, on the vegan side, we don't have to have meat. But on the meat side, you have to still have fruits and vegetables. Anybody tell you don't. If some of these carnivore guys, you look at them, they look 10,000 years old. The one guy that eats the raw meat and stuff, he looks so old. I'm talking about, man. I'm talking about he looks 1 billion years old. You know, he doesn't look well at all. But I don't think that vegans, I don't think we should get in that discussion. I don't see where I don't think we should get in that discussion. I wouldn't want to get in that discussion with meat eaters and stuff like that. It's not the liver king. The liver king. Come to find out, he was taking pills. He was lying. He was taking steroids and everything. You know what I'm saying? He was just straight up lying. You know, he was making people think that he could eat all that stuff, and that's why he was so strong. And man, that man was taking all type of steroids. I tell you, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? He ended up, he was lying, basically. And he was making people think that he had all those muscles. You know, I tell you, some crazy people. But on his behalf, he was going more from the content creator. You know what I'm saying? He trying to get views. Okay, so he wasn't really doing it for carnivals. He was doing it to make money on social media. Okay. Yeah, he wasn't doing it for people's health. He was doing it to make money. And because he was doing it to make money, he, ended up taking a bunch of stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. That's why I don't get into that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? I don't get into that because I'm not gonna argue with anybody about health. You know, like this guy, because that doesn't really look healthy to me. Okay, that doesn't look like the direction I would want to go. And we'll keep watching this story. I already know how it's going to end. And so the thing is, why are we dealing with polypharmacy? Polypharmacy refers to the use of multiple medications by a single patient, typically defined as 5 or more different medications simultaneously. 5 or more. I'm just reading this. A lot of times, y'all, when I read this, I don't read it until I talk to you all, so we all see it for the first time. All I do to check if it's on subject, I don't read the details. I save it, and then we come and I learn just like you learn. Well, this is my first time reading this, so I did not know polypharmacy is defined as 5 or more different medications simultaneously. Now, does that sound healthy? I mean, come on now. Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell, support the channel. So, look, causes chronic health conditions, conditions like diabetes, heart disease, and cancer often require multiple medications. Age, older adults are more likely to have multiple chronic conditions and take more medications. Multiple prescribers. Patients may see different doctors for different conditions, leading to overlapping prescriptions. Over the counter medication. Non prescription medications can contribute to polypharmacy, meaning that they're getting their prescription and they're buying aspirin and buying, they're buying over the counter medicine and non prescription medicine. Drug interaction. Medications can interfere with each other, causing adverse effects. Increased side effects. Taking more medications increases the risk of experiencing side effects. Confusion. Confusion and forgetfulness. Managing multiple medications can be challenging, leading to errors. Falls and other injuries. Side effects like drowsiness and dizziness can increase the risk of them falling. Benefits. In some cases, polypharmacy is necessary to effectively treat complex health conditions. Did I just read that? Now, I would ask anybody, How would you fix that? How? How would you fix it? Properly managed polypharmacy can improve patients' outcome by addressing multiple health issues simultaneously. Management, regular medication review. A healthcare professional should review all medications regularly to identify potential interactions and unnecessary drugs. Clear communications. Patients should inform all their healthcare providers about all the medications they are taking. Medication adherence. Patients should follow their prescribed dosage and schedule carefully. Patient education. Patients should be educated about the risks and benefits of polypharmacy and how to manage their medications. Now, look, we're talking about elderly people, and they're saying that elderly people should act like they're in college. They're saying that elderly people should act like they're in college. They should contact their ear doctor, their eye doctor, and the other doctor they got and talk to all them doctors. And them doctors are going to talk to them and look at all the different medicines. And them doctors are going to make sure that them medicines don't collide. Now, to me, that would have to be its own agency, wouldn't it? I mean, doctors aren't that smart. Doctors are specialists in what they do. And I highly doubt it if your doctor, one of the doctors, if you got three different doctors, I highly doubt it if one of the doctors know anything about the medicine they prescribed you compared to the other three or four medicines that you have. This is unrealistic suggestions. This suggestion is total nonsense because it cannot be done. There is nobody that's going to know if these pills can interact because there would have to be the studies on every combination of pill or medication to have the conclusion. That would have to be a whole unit of medicine itself. I'm not dumb. I'm highly intelligent. In order to know which medications go together, that would be a whole field of study that would take multiple universities and classes just on medicine. There's no way a doctor in one field knows anything about those medicines. Nobody can make me believe a doctor would know. Nothing can make me believe that a doctor would know about a medicine that he don't prescribe or she don't prescribe. That these doctors in this field prescribe that, you prescribe these type of things, and there is no way that there is no doctors that will know which medicines go together, considering that doctors, a lot of them I believe is a little shady and prescribing medicines from companies that possibly could be paying them. Because have you ever had like you ever went to a doctor and they give you an antibiotic? And if you go back to that doctor another time, they give you a total different antibiotic. And they have you thinking, well, they got to give you a different antibiotic because since you took the other one, it might not work. But I don't believe that. I believe that lots of these medicines are prescribed to make money. And I believe a lot of the doctors' offices are in cahoots with the pharmaceutical company. Because anywhere there's money to be made, there is corruption. Anywhere. Anywhere there's money to be made, there's going to be corruption. No ifs, ands, and buts. There's no way around it. There's going to be corruption. There's no way around that. So here's the question. Why so many people got so much different stuff wrong with them? Why do so many people have so many different things wrong with them? Let's take snacks, some type of chips or something, some type of flaming hot chips. How many different unhealthy ingredients is in one of those bags of chips? Now, if it has 3 different unhealthy ingredients in it, do those 3 different unhealthy ingredients, could they cause the exact same sickness? I doubt that. I could see where they might all cause cancer, but just because it causes cancer, that doesn't mean that's the only thing it causes. And so if you ask most vegans, we would say a lot of this food is horrible. And so if people are eating lots of unhealthy food, wouldn't they have a lot of different illnesses? I'm just trying to figure this out because it seems to me um, that if you're damaging your colon, I don't see why you wouldn't be damaging the lining of your stomach too, which is going to be something different than colon cancer. I mean, is bad stuff in your colon only damaging your colon? Because they have a thing called colorectal cancer, where the cancer is in your colon and your rectal area. That is 2 different cancers. Because you have colon cancer, you have rectal cancer, and you have colorectal cancer, where this stuff has damaged 2 parts of the body. Has it damaged 3 parts? What has it done to your stomach? What has it done to your veins? What has it done to your heart? What has it done to your brains, your nervous system, your eyes, your mouth? What has it done to your throat? Throat cancer is serious. Yeah, people got throat cancer. And so polypharmacy sounds like people are eating poly trash. Polypharmacy means many different pills. People are eating multiple trash in one meal or in one day. What have you ate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? How much of that stuff has health issues? What did you eat for dinner that has could cause health issues? What did you eat for lunch that could cause health issues? What did you eat for snacks that could cause health issues? What did you eat for dinner that could cause health issues? Because the way I see it, breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snacks could easily cause 6 health issues based on the lack of policing and the lack of restrictions on what America feeds its citizens. This is why Kennedy is out there. But it's really hard for Kennedy to do a good job under Trump. No. How could Kennedy do a good job under Trump? You know, look at Kennedy's face. I mean, this is classic right here. Look how Kennedy's looking. He's frowning. You can tell he's being forced. Now he's the one that's telling Americans to eat better. Now, 2 faces on here are very interesting. Now look at Elon. Look at that smirk on his face. And it doesn't look like Elon's going to touch that. I'm going to tell you for real. But Kennedy looks like he's in pain. Like he knows this photo is going against his position to make America healthy again. You can see Trump and his son and the other guy standing up. It's all about the Benjamins. They see dollars. Because you can only imagine how much McDonald's paid or how much they donated to the Trump campaign. This is truly a conflict of interest, but if they say so. I mean, it looks like a payoff to me. This doesn't look legal. That you're doing commercials for people while you're campaigning for president. I mean, come on, how low can you go? You understand? So if the government is who you're dependent on to tell you what to eat, good luck. You're on your own. And if you're going to go plant-based, you need to keep your mouth shut. You don't need to discuss it. You need to let very few people know that you're going plant-based. You should not discuss it. You should try to eat as in private as much as you can, and you should just try to be quiet about it because you're not going to be able to change the way you're eating and be a crusader for veganism or plant-based lifestyles. That's going to be too draining on you. When I stopped eating meat and artificial flavors and artificial colorings and eggs and you're not just stopping meat. When you go vegan, you're stopping dairy products, which is a lot of products. That's donuts, cakes. People don't understand. It's not just dairy because a lot of things got dairy in it. So dairy's, that's not a good way to teach this because dairy is going to be the hardest one to quit because it's in every pie, every bread. It's in, well, not every, but doggone near 98% of the bread, the pies, the cookies, the candy, all of that is dairy. You have to start looking for dark chocolate and cane sugar. And you have to start looking for special ingredients. So with everything you got to do to eat better, you don't have time to get in no wars and no battles. So I know you probably think I'm bullheaded when people want to come over here and debate, right? When people want to come over here and debate and I don't want to do it, it's because you all have to concentrate on what you're trying to do. You can't change and debate. You're not into this to debate. You're into this for your health. And people going to want to debate with you about veganism. They ain't going to want to debate about your health, and they're not qualified to debate about your health. Your health is your health. And you have to do whatever you think is best for your health, whatever that is. If you think eating a rounded way of eating and eggs, and you need your eggs and you need your bacon or your meat, that's your decision. That's not my decision. That's not nothing I would debate you over. You have to make the decision. This is not a thing where anybody's trying to force you. The plant-based lifestyle is self-improvement. Self-improvement. It's not a war, it's not a battle, or any of that. The only battle we're into is with the companies that we feel is selling unhealthy food. But we're not going to do not battle with the customers of the companies that's selling them bad food because they're victims. They're people that was taught that in school. Okay? They were taught that. So I'm not willing to debate someone that was taught wrong in school. Okay? That's not my job. My job would be to get the school to teach you the right way. Why would I debate the person that learned wrong and try to prove to them that they learned wrong, rather than to spend my energy to get society to teach you what I feel is right? I'm not doing that. If you come over here and you want to debate and you're not don't believe veganism is the way to go, I have to block you because that's like me having a math class and you come in here and want to argue about science. This is a math class. We in here talking about math. This is the easiest way to become a vegan. This is how to change the way you eat. This is for people that's somewhat curious or very interested or have already changed the way they eat towards a vegan lifestyle. This is not the convert channel for somebody that uh, is hell bent on eating the way they want to eat. That would be a waste of my time. I got two people. I got a woman that wants to eat better and she wants to find out about how to eat vegan. I got a man that wants to argue that vegan is no good. Which one should I spend my energy on? I'm going to spend my energy on the woman that's trying to change. The person that don't want to change is basically a troll and a hater because if you don't believe veganism is the way, why would you click on a vegan video? You would click on the meat video and watch something you believe in. I can't never trust nobody that's watching something they don't believe in. But I like when they come so I can show my subscribers how you handle that. You don't talk to them. You don't talk to them. This is about self improvement. And if you get colon cancer, they ain't going to get it. They're not going to get your colon cancer. They're not going to get your diabetes. They're not going to have to go to dialysis with you. This is an individual thing that you have to think, is this the way to go or not? And I can't argue with somebody that was raised as a baby to believe in this. I already know where your belief system come from. Just look. Look what they advise. This chart is totally unhealthy. I mean, totally. The overall chart is unhealthy, and there's just one space that's healthy. Because all that bread, that ain't healthy. Because the bread is determined on how the bread is made. So you can't just say bread. What kind of bread? So the only healthy part on this chart is the fruits and vegetables. So you can see the majority of the pyramid is unhealthy. It's put together by a person that eats unhealthy. And when it comes to health, it's something that you have to fight your health. It's a solo battle. Somebody might go to the hospital with you, but you're the one sick. Somebody might go to the doctor's office with you, but it's only one person that's sick, and that's you. Somebody might tell you it's all right to eat something, but when you eat it, it's going in your stomach. They change them around, but they're all still horrible. Or Michael, they change them around, but they're all still horrible. I showed that one because that's the one that people argue with me. That's the one they grew up on. So that's why I chose that one, because that's the one that the people that want to argue against veganism, that's the chart they learned from. And that's a fact. They didn't learn from a new chart. They learned, if they're 40, they 30 or 40, they learned that 30 or 40 years ago. They learned that back when they was 10. If you 40, you learned how to eat when you was 10, 30 years ago. If you 30, you learned how to eat 20 years ago. You're trying to tell me an old 20-year philosophy. You don't even know it's old. You don't even know you're outdated. If you're eating according to how most Americans eat, you're outdated. You old. People want to call me old, but come over here with old information. I got the brand new information. They coming over here like the Flintstones with some Flintstone information. And so what the point I'm trying to make is comorbidities come from where? How do you get comorbidities? Comorbidity, the simultaneous presence of two or more diseases or medical conditions in a patient. A disease or medical condition that is simultaneously present with another or others in a patient's. So, how do you get comorbidities? Why is multiple things wrong with so many Americans? Huh? Think about it. Why nobody has that information? It's very simple. Approximately 131 million American adults, or 51.4%, half of Americans, over half, have multiple chronic conditions, also known as multimorbidity. This figure represents a significant portion of the adult population and is increasing, especially among younger age groups. Here's a more detailed breakdown. At least one chronic condition. Over 194 million U.S. adults, 76.4%, have at least one of the 12 selected chronic conditions. Now, if that's not a 911 state of emergency, you tell me what is. That when I walk around these streets, 80 out of 100 people got a chronic condition. Multiple chronic conditions. 51.4% of U.S. adults, or 133 million, experience multiple chronic conditions. It's 360, 340 or 60 million Americans, and a third of them got more than one thing wrong with them. Now, if you tell me this ain't a 911, what is? When will it be a 911? When it's 75%? Variation by age. The prevalence of multiple chronic conditions increases with age. Younger adults, 18 to 40, have a lower prevalence, while older adults, 65 plus, have a higher prevalence. You know why? It takes time for all this stuff to destroy you. You're drinking liquor, drinking liquor, drinking liquor as a teenager. Okay, you're drinking liquor, 18, 19, 20. You're drinking liquor. You still drinking liquor, you 30. You still drinking liquor, you 40. You still going out with your family drinking liquor, you 50. What you think gonna happen? You're not realizing you've been drinking liquor constantly. Your liver has had to deal with liquor your entire life. Through the week, almost every weekend. Common conditions. The most common conditions vary by age. Young adults often report obesity, depression, and high cholesterol. Young adults often report obesity. They overweight. Young people, they're depressed and they have high cholesterol, while older adults are more likely to report high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and arthritis. Multiple chronic conditions significantly impact healthcare costs and the complexity of care for individuals, meaning they got to go through a lot to treat you. Now, listen, you all are watching me because you're highly intelligent. You see what I just read. You see what I just read. If that don't scare you, and let me tell you something, if you're younger than me, your life, let's say you 30, when I was 30, you 30, you 40, you 20, 30, 40. Your life is not as uh, as serious as your social life. At that age, your social, you know, even the people that work out and exercise, they're doing it for social appearance. They want to look good when they're socializing. And when you're young and you see somebody like me and I'm telling you to eat better, you can't project the future. You're taught that I'll cross that road when you get to it. And you kind of think that when you get 50, if you get sick, it's not going to be a big deal because the big deal is when you're 20, 30, 40. But you listen to me. Every person I know that did that, when they do get 60, when they do get 50, and they got to get that foot cut off, or they got to go to dialysis, boy, they regret it. Don't you let nobody fool you. You're going to pay, and you're not going to like it, and you're going to wish you would have changed. Because any of us could pass away, any of us can get sick, but when you take care of yourself and you get sick, it's out of nowhere. Boom. But when you don't, it's a long process. My father was on high blood pressure medicine from in his 40s till he passed away in his 80s. Imagine taking high blood pressure medicine for 40 years. He told me I'm going to be just like him when I asked him if he should have ate better. And I was in my 50s. And I told him, Dad, I'm already beating you. And he said, you're right. And that food and that lifestyle ate my daddy alive. Because my daddy was a bus driver and he ate out on the street, lunch and stuff. But the older man, Mr. Johnson, that stayed home, that wife cooked, they were still well. The men whose wives cooked that didn't eat so much food out there, that consumed more vegetables, they still ate meat, but the old school people ate a lot of vegetables. They ate a lot of grits. They ate a lot of string beans and stuff like that. Oats, oatmeal, grits. They live longer than the ones that are more modern and eat a whole bunch of buckets of chickens and stuff like that. Those ones all get sick fast. But they all still, that food breaks you down because that food is not made for human consumption. What was made by nature for human consumption is fruit and vegetables, herbs and spices, nuts and grains. This is a fact. It was never meant for you to go and unalive an animal to eat when there was food you didn't have to unalive to eat. You don't have to unalive a watermelon. The fruit trees actually just give you the fruit when it's ready. It just falls off the tree. You got to chase the chicken and unalive it. You got to grab the pig and unalive it. You got to capture the cow and unalive it. You don't have to capture the apple. And when the pig is alive, the pig can make another pig. But when you eat the apple and throw the seeds out, the apple can still make another apple tree because the life is in the seeds. And the seeds can't grow unless the apple rots or unless somebody eat it. So it's a natural process made for you to eat the fruit, throw the seed out, and it regrow. Any idiot would see that. It's not a natural cycle to run down no animal and to make weapons to try to figure out how to feed your family no animal. Animal consumption cannot keep up with fruit availability. There cannot be enough animals as fruit. It's impossible. If an apple tree got 300 apples on it and 5 seeds in each apple, that's 300 times 5. That could make 1,500 apple trees that would have 300 apples on it. And all of them 300 trees, every 15 that come off of them 15, 300 times 1,500, that's how many trees the next group can make. So if you left the earth alone, we wouldn't have to go to the store. We wouldn't have to give anybody our money. There would be fruit trees and apple trees and orange trees. This stuff would be growing wild. And if you think I'm lying, look up asthma, look up allergies, and you're going to find out that allergies are going up because the Babylon system has eliminated female trees, and female trees are ones that bear the fruit, and they did it so you can't eat, so you have to go to the store. And because they're out of tune with God and out of tune with nature, and they're not growing female trees, the pollen is getting thicker and thicker, and more Americans will have serious respiratory problems. This is a fact. This is your future. You will not be able to breathe because you got all male trees. And you live in a Babylon system that is fighting against the reproductive nature of trees to provide fruit and food for the people so that they can force you to go to the store and buy garbage, or that they can grow the fruit and sell it to you. They're selling you fruit that's got seeds in it that you could grow yourself, and they know that, so now they're selling you seedless grapes. You know why they selling you seedless grapes? Because grapes grow on the vine, and they know if you sell you grapes with seeds, you're going to see them seeds, you're going to go plant them in your house, especially y'all live in the South in warm weather, and you're going to have grapes everywhere, and you ain't going to have to buy them from them. That's why they want to sell you seedless watermelons and seedless grapes. That's why you don't see sunflowers nowhere, because you'll take them sunflower seeds and grow them in your yard, and you'd have sunflower seeds. You can make your own sunflower oil, all that. They're willing to destroy your health to make $1. And they got you taking on multiple poisons daily, what you eating. And now people are having multiple chronic diseases, comorbidity. It's so bad that they call it multiple morbidity. Multiple morbidity refers to the presence of 2 or more chronic medical or psychiatric conditions in the same individual. These conditions may or may not directly interact with each other. It is a growing concern, particularly among older adults, as life expectancy increases and people live longer with multiple illnesses. Let me tell you something. They're not living longer. They're zombies. They're zombies. You go to these nursing homes, you call that living in a chair like this? They're not alive. They're using medication to keep them artificial, like they on artificial life support. They've been gone. Them people been passed away. They're not giving them medicine to cure them. They're giving them medicine to preserve them like zombies. That's it. To keep them like zombies so they can keep going back to the doctor and the medical industry can make money. By the time my father passed away, he had been gone. He had been gone. They used all that medicine and stuff to just keep him in a zombie state. He didn't know what was going on. He was gone. He had been gone. His body had been rotten. His insides was totally rotten. Totally rotten. That's why they got to wear the pants. Their insides be rotten. They can't pass no food. It'd be all slush because so many parasites is in them, and they have destroyed their whole intestines. The intestines is shot. You eat this trash out here, by the time you get 60, 70 years old, your intestines going to be destroyed, shot, gone. You're supposed to live 120 years. That's how long we're supposed to live. These are facts. The average American And the average human period is supposed to live somewhere between 110 and 120 years old. These are absolute facts. Undisputable. This is my great grandmother, my mother's grandmother. She lived 117 years. 117 years. Why? Because she lived in Alabama. What did they eat? Corn on the cob, cabbage, collard greens, mustard greens, watermelons, peaches, rutabagas, black-eyed peas, cornbread. That's what they ate. They didn't eat a lot of meat. When I was little, we didn't eat a lot of meat. When I was little, Black Americans didn't eat a lot of meat. When I grew up, you was a child, back in the 60s, me and my sister, you get 2 pieces of meat. That's it. You get a drumstick and a wing. The majority of your plate was vegetables. The meat was a little section right here. The rest of the plate is corn on the cob, string beans, potatoes, stuff like that. The meat is 1/5 of the meal. By the time I got in high school, the meat was 3/4 of the meal. These are all facts. And as we start eating bad, her son, my grandfather, died before her, earlier than her. My mother died earlier than her father. My mother died earlier than her mother. When my mother passed away, her mother was still alive. At one of these old senior places my mother had put her. And I went to see my grandmother. She said, "How Bessie doing?" I said, "She all right." I couldn't tell my grandmother her daughter passed away. That was her whole heart. My grandmother would have passed away that night. So I'd rather my grandmother think she was still here. So I said, "She all right, Granny." I couldn't tell her that. I couldn't tell her. She outlived her daughter. Why? Because she grew up on whole food. She grew up on vegetables. Anybody say anything other don't know what the hell they talking about. The families used to have fruit bowls in the kitchen. And in the fruit bowl, they had nuts. They had pecans, they had walnuts. And the fruit bowl always had plums in there, or nectarines, or tangerines, or oranges, and grapes. They buy apples every now and then, but they ate the soft fruit, watermelon, grapes, plums, nectarines, peaches. Always. Always. You could never, and they had a nutcracker. Y'all know the silver nutcrackers in the bowl, and it was always pecans and stuff always in there. And the number one drink in America was ice water. These are facts. In the 60s, the number one drink in America was ice water. All over America, people had a pitcher of cold water in the refrigerator. And when you had guests, the first thing you would offer them is a nice jar or glass of ice water. These are historical facts. In the 60s and in the early 70s, Americans drank a lot of water. Children drank water all day. We drank water out the refrigerator all day. And we drank water off the water hose all day. We drank water off the faucet, the water fountain at the park all day. All day. And guess what? We did not urinate much. Ask anybody. You wasn't running to the bathroom that much. All that water you drink. And you might go to the washroom one time because our body retained that water and used that water. But now that we don't drink water, if you drank that water, you be running to the bathroom all the time because your body's not used to water. And the water is not as doesn't have as much oxygen in it. Water used to be thick. Who remembers? You have to be real sensitive to remember that. Water was a thicker. It's hard to explain thickness in water, but water had some thickness to it. It wasn't runny, wasn't as runny as it is now. It was thicker. That's the only way I can explain it. People from the South know what I'm talking about because they'll stay like that till the 80s. Only the big cities changed. But most of y'all live in like Carolina. Y'all water stayed like that all to the 80s. Soda was a special treat. Angela, Coca-Cola was so strong when I was a child, when I was 4 or 5 years old, that the parents used to put it in a glass and put water with it because you couldn't drink it. Children couldn't drink Coca-Cola or Pepsi. It was too strong. It was so strong that if you shake up a Coke bottle back then and open it, it would only be this much Coke left in there because it'll all shoot out. It was so strong when you drink it, it would come through your nose like a bull. Like the smoke from the bull, you could feel it through your nose. It was that strong. So for little children, you couldn't get them Coca-Cola and Pepsi. It was too strong. You had to cut it with water. Me and my sister, they cut ours with water. They give you a little glass like that. They put about this much water in there. Then they pour you some Coke in there. We couldn't drink that. You couldn't drink that straight. Because people don't know Coca-Cola was really made from coca. It was really made from the coca plant. My girlfriend out of high school, she went to St. Louis College of Pharmacy, where the guy that made Coca-Cola was from. So when they tell you Coke, it's the real thing. They wasn't kidding. Like people, you don't understand. They say Coke. What was the commercial? It's the real thing. It really was the real thing. It really was coca. You think I'm lying? You're rocking with the realist, right? You learned something over here. Look, what did it say? Yes, the original Coca-Cola contained cocaine, which is derived from the coca plant. Coca-Cola used coca leaf extract in its products from 1885 until about 1903. The name Coca-Cola itself refers to two of its original ingredients, coca and cola nuts. Coca-Cola. While the current formula is a closely guarded secret, it is known that Coca-Cola now uses a decanonized coca leaf extract. In other words, they got a leaf that don't have the drugs in it, basically. How many of you all knew that? They only said it wasn't in there because it was illegal. It was still in there. But they couldn't say it was in there. They had to make the ingredients secret. But it was in there. When I was a child, it was in there. And if you know about cocaine, it peps you up, right? So what is Pepsi? What is Pepsi? You know, what's the pep in Pepsi? How Pepsi give you a pep? The moral of the story is eat right and take care of yourself. Older vegans require fewer medications. Go plant-based. Go plant-based. Eat right. Take care of yourself. Make your food your medicine. Make food medicine. That's what you need to do. The original medicine was food. Much respect to XYZ for the contribution to the channel. Y'all support the channel. Make food your medicine. Don't let nobody fool you. Don't roll the dice with your life. Don't let nobody fool you. The food, the fruits and vegetables are life-giving. They're life-giving. You can tell when you eat it. Your body is so happy when you eat fruit and when you eat your vegetables. You can feel it. You can feel the nourishment when you eat it. Anybody say anything different is lying. You can feel it when you eat it. That you can feel the power. When you eat your food, when you eat your vegetables. It's undeniable. When you eat fruit, you can feel it. You can feel it. When you eat fruit, you can feel it run all through your body. There's no doubt about that. You can feel it. You can feel it. You can feel the nutrition. Your body feels so satisfied. When you eat ultra processed foods, all you feel is full. You don't feel healthy. You feel full. You don't feel hungry anymore. But it's not the same feeling. This is one reason people like Thanksgiving so much because they have a tendency to consume a few more vegetables, a food that they don't really get to eat a lot. They don't eat any cranberries. Cranberry sauce, you don't eat that. You don't eat that. So when you do get you some good peas and things, then You can feel it. You can feel it. You can feel it. You can feel the greatness when you uh, get some vegetables and stuff into your body. So make sure you eat right. Take care of yourself. Your life is in your hands, and don't debate it with anybody. But if somebody's curious, then talk to them. But if anybody wants to argue it, it's not about trying to convert people. That's not, you know what I'm saying. You can, instead of just some miscellaneous person want to argue with you, you would do better talking about somebody that's got a health concern. If you was gonna argue with somebody, you know what I'm saying. If you was gonna argue with somebody, it would be your mom or your dad or your brother or something that's not doing well, and you telling them, bro, put the alcohol down. Bro, eat more fruits and vegetables. That would be a good argument because they're not arguing against veganism. You're doing all the discipline on them, trying to save them. That's righteous. That's righteous. If you're doing it to save somebody's life, that's good. But if you're doing it just because somebody want to argue between being a vegan and a meat eater, that's just a waste of time. You could be talking, you could be saving your sister. You could be saving your brother, your uncle. You be helping them clean up how they eat. You could be helping your uncle get off the alcohol, telling them stop drinking so much, huh? You could be helping your younger brother, older brother, stop drinking, bro, like that. You would do better spending your energy for somebody that's actually getting sick or actually damaging themselves. But just to be debating somebody over to eating meat and stuff, that's ridiculous. What are you gonna get out of that? Spend your energy on somebody you're trying to save. That's righteous. I would do that. If my sister was sick and just or my cousin just kept doing stuff he ain't doing so well, I would do that. But just some miscellaneous person that want to argue between meat eater and vegan, listen, always remember what they eat, it don't make you poop. So eat to live and live to eat. Go vegan and victory.